Okay, we are going to call this June 23rd agenda review to order. Thank you all for being here today with your smiling faces on time. Appreciate that. Ms. Bowie, would you please start by calling us the roll?
Good afternoon. Pete Wildebohr.
I am present.
Melissa Mason.
Here.
Josie Barnhart. Pat Bradford.
I am here.
Judy Justice.
Here.
Dr. Tim Merrick.
Present.
And David Perry.
Here.
All right. Well, thank you all for being here. We will have our invocation next, and that will be done, let's see here, Ms. Gail Tabor, pastor at the Salt United Methodist Church, will provide it remotely. And then a pledge, it says Ms. Mason will be leading us, so she shall.
I am Gail Tabor. I am the pastor of Salt Inclusive Methodist Community, and I invite you to pray with me, y'all. Holy One, today as we gather to do the work of providing for the education of all the children in New Hanover County, we first pause to remember to be grateful. We give thanks for the absolute joy of living in this beautiful place and for the beauty of your creation and our mandate to care for all that is in it, especially the children who are often seen as the least among us. We pray not just for the physical safety of all the students and teachers in our schools, but that we would be creating spaces where all are seen, heard, and appreciated. Not just because of our differences, but because just as beautiful music is made and harmony comes from blending of different voices, so the beauty of humanity shines in our difference. Guide us as we face times of concern and fear, that our especially to all of the decisions made here be inclusive and equitable, even when we have difference of a spirit of unity. Help us not just to listen to others as they share their point of view, but to hold them in full regard for all of our shared humanity. Aid us and aid this body to work as a unified as they lead New Hanover County Schools. May every child and family know their worth and their value to this body and to the community at large. In our ever-changing world, we pray for these board members and for the various levels of official and staff that serve the students and families of New Hanover County Schools. Bless the body with their decisions, that it would be a benefit to all those who work for, attend, or have a child or person for whom they care in New Hanover County Schools. We offer this in all the names of the one we call holy. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. I will entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved. Second.
First and second, any discussion? Mr. Perry?
Just was wondering, maybe you would second if you're interested in giving people an update on our plans in regards to the LifeWise public hearing and the community and our vote on it, just because I would think everybody's heard that there's an amendment to the Senate budget bill that might make it mandatory on us. So.
Okay, yeah, and I have no problem, and we could add that briefly right now, so I'll second that. Any discussion on that? Just basically a quick update, and I've shared it with most of you all anyway. Okay, all in favor of adding a...
Sorry, you asked for discussion.
Oh, sorry,
I didn't see you. That's okay. It seems a little premature. We can talk about it. I'm not opposed to talking about it. But I think we're kind of in a holding pattern until we see what happens with the Senate bill. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to recommend that we don't take our time at it today. I think we're just sort of waiting, right, for now. So I'm actually not in favor of putting it on the agenda.
well, and I mean, that's pretty much what you just said is basically that's the whole thing. So we're in the whole...
So we just said it.
You just said it. Ms. Justice?
Yeah, I think it should be on the agenda just briefly.
Yeah.
Dr. Vaughn should explain it. Just so the public knows, there's been an awful lot of emotions around this, and they need to understand that we're trying to do, what we're supposed to do. But a lot of people don't understand that unless they hear it from us. So.
Okay. And Ms. Mason?
I think the point that my colleague was making was that because this is in limbo, we did vote to have a public hearing, and we have not yet scheduled that. And so I think that what he was meaning was that we need to let the public know where we're at with that. Not necessarily the bill itself, but the fact that because we are in a holding pattern, what are we doing with this public hearing?
Okay. All right, all in favor of adding it, I would say we'd be added under information, we're not going to vote on anything, so all in favor of adding it to, under information for today's meeting, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay, that carries 6-0, and we'll add update on hearing. Update on hearing. Okay, anything else? If not, we have a motion and a second to approve the amended agenda. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. Again, passes 6-0. There was a suggestion made before we get into, which is the next section, review of proposed agenda items. And maybe something we want to do instead of, when we get to the section that is consensus items, instead of saying, okay, well, we'll listen to it all, discuss it today, and we'll pull things off next week. Why don't we try, just for this week, why don't we try and pull it off, and we'll actually add it to either new or old business if we want to pull it off for next week. So then we can just go ahead and we get the consensus items, boom, done, and then we can, have we'll go ahead and do the other things other times. So, okay, so let's go ahead and move. Yes, sir. Oh, I'm sorry. We're going to hand over there, too.
That might also help our staff to know and prepare. If we know something's going to come up, we'll make sure we bring that information with us, things like that. I think it might make the consent agenda cleaner at the board meeting if you pull off stuff this week, and then we can prepare any kind of answers that are needed so that we can save time at the board meeting.
Okay.
And
Ms.
we,
Bradford?
3 of us discussed this, and it's just a discussion point in the policy committee meeting 2 weeks ago. And just wanted to kick it around as a time saver. And one of the suggestions that came from staff, and then I think we may have talked to Dr. Barnes about checking with more staff for suggestions that were anonymous in terms of how to save us time in our meetings. But one of them was, if it was a consensus item today, in an agenda review today, and nobody had any issues with it today, that we could go ahead and vote on those kind of things in a today setting at agenda reviews. So if you wanted to practice that and see if it worked today, I would be in favor of that.
Other thoughts on that?
We talked about splitting it through the renewals and the non-renewals.
Yes, that's what we're talking about, yeah. And I think Mr. Waldebor is saying that the non-renewals, or the renewal with one change, because I know there's one of those would then be pulled off if we had any questions about it, and we'd put it into some other category for not next week's, but anyway, our next full board meeting.
Whenever it is, whenever we know that. Yeah.
So we could try that and see if the idea was we're just trying to save in 10-minute increments off of the full board meeting. And if we do enough of that, then we can put our attention towards more important business.
Ms. Mason?
Just for clarification, when we talked about it at policy, we, didn't make any changes to policy to be able to do that. So I would be a little hesitant to be doing that today without that. And I think it would be reasonable to do what has been suggested, and that's letting staff know what ones we're going to pull. And I think that will help save some time too. So if there's a combination of things that we can do, perhaps.
Dr. Merrick?
No, I'll pass.
Okay, all right. We'll go ahead and jump in both feet. We'll start by call to order. This is again for not next week, but the following week. Call to order, roll call, invocation, national anthem. Anybody want to sing that? Okay. Speaking of which, no, I'm going to go there. Pledge allegiance, who would like to do that?
I would.
Okay, Dr. Merrick. Approval of the agenda, approval of the minutes, committee reports. Does anybody have any committee reports coming forward?
I do not.
So we'll leave it on there in case somebody has one at the last second, but otherwise that may save us 15 minutes. And thank you, Ms. Mason, for taking, without me even asking, taking charge of that.
Do you want to just bring it down to 5 minutes since we don't have that, and then we can...
Yeah, why don't we do that? That sounds good to me.
Mr. Gordon?
Yes, ma'am.
If you wanted, we are in serious discussions about not having July finance capital and bond meeting and moving it out till August for the next one, so we could announce that night if you want.
Okay.
We're just trying to find a date for the August meeting.
Ms. Justice?
I don't know why I'm having trouble hearing you. Could,
Me?
Yeah.
Is your,
am I fine?
I'm just feeling soft. Is this better?
That's much better.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me
hold
now?
on, we don't want to hear you that much. I mean,
Could you say that again? so-
Feast or famine?
Oh, Judy, we're talking very seriously about not having a July capital finance, and now see, you got me doing it, finance, capital, and bond committee meeting. Just because we're in limbo with the state budget, and once that drops, then we'll have so much to talk about, but right now we don't. So, anyway, that's our plan.
Okay, thank you. Now
Working
I
on
hear.
August dates. We're
Okay.
running them past the county.
Okay, so we're going to move the committee report from 15 to 5, see what happens. Recognitions, I don't see.
I think she said we are going to skip July's recognitions because everybody's at home enjoying their summer except for us.
There's another 25-minute save. Okay. How about the, yes, I would say so. Excellence, exemplified recognition, that one too is
We'll
done?
do it in August, so, since everybody's home for summer.
So
We're
now
not doing that one either? Okay.
All righty,
All right.
3-hour
Student
meeting coming
voice.
up.
We are doing student voice, yes, no? Yes, no?
Skipping it for summer?
We are not having student voice.
10 minutes. All right, guys, I want to make a
I
motion.
move
that
we
don't
just miss
show
the
up.
whole meeting, we just skip it. What do you
So I
think?
think
And I'll
Pete
be
is
honest, we
bringing
talked
it.
about that. Mr. Chair, we talked about that before we got here today, and it's not really kidding, but I could have sworn at some point, this board, in my memory, maybe not the ones of us sitting here, but maybe Ms. Justice, that skipping a July meeting just because it's summer and school's out and whatever.
We never did.
Never
Maybe
saw it?
somebody did it before us. I have no idea.
We can't. We have some budget
Oh,
items
that's right.
and some
It's
personnel items that you
it's
have to
mandated,
keep
we have to meet
moving.
monthly. Never mind, sorry.
And I think also, I think it's one of those, you wake up and, oh, wait a minute, we didn't have a July. Yeah, no.
Well,
Just fancy.
We can have one and not,
2
we
hours.
can leave when it's light out, too.
Yes, ma'am?
We do have teacher voice.
Oh, we do have teacher voice, okay. So teacher voice will be going on.
polluted street.
We have year-round schools, I mean.
Yeah, there is.
5 minutes? I'm going to also take 5 minutes or less. Okay, we're into information, athletic expansion.
Do we know what that is? Oh,
Yes, we were adding, well, I can't tell you now because it's a secret for next week, or in 2 weeks. But
Do
we
you have
add,
anything you want to add?
how long will it take?
I don't, it can take
5 minutes?
at most.
At most.
And I can tell you now, and then you can also be ready for me to share it then too. It's the addition of, flag football is now sanctioned and men's volleyball.
Men's volleyball.
And we already have flag football teams at our high schools, and we are gauging interest for men's volleyball, but we've got a little time because that's a spring sport.
It's a spring sport.
Spring sport. Cool.
But these two sports have been approved by the North Carolina High School Athletic Association.
And all right, now the quiz, now this is a quiz, and those that were here the other day can't answer the question. What college won the last two men's national championship men's volleyball Division III?
Must have been UNCW.
No, it was NC State.
Oh,
Division III.
Oh, you said that.
Division III.
Because I said that last week.
Yes, you did.
well, East Carolina?
Point of order,
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, relevance.
Well, it's where I went, Springfield College. I'm bragging. Okay.
Call the
okay.
question.
What?
Yeah, yeah.
It was what?
Springfield College.
We
Springfield
were
College,
not gonna
Springfield,
guess that one.
Massachusetts. It's
Oh.
the birthplace of basketball. That's where they invented basketball.
All right, sir.
Indiana is the birthplace of basketball.
Oh, no, Springfield College.
Right.
Mr. Naismith invented it. So, okay. All right,
Grab that
carrying on.
gavel, will you, Miss Mason?
Carrying on, okay. All right, so that's 5 minutes for information. Call the audience to 60 minutes. Consensus items, we have 10 minutes. Again, this is where if you have something that you're, like, I really think we need to pull this off, to talk about it at length or in 2 weeks, now's the time to say, okay, and we'll put it under old business or new business. Dr. Merrick, got that pen right up.
I do. I have no problem with it, but I think the public deserves an understanding of L, how we could, have a 30%, change order increase. It's not out of distrust, but I think when those numbers that big, we need to be able to explain it. That's all.
Okay.
And I'm good talking about it today because I had questions about it myself. But, so can we talk about it today, or do we need to?
Talk about
I think we've talked about it, we're probably going to have to talk about it next regular meeting anyway, so the public doesn't watch this movie.
But they can.
They could.
A lot do. Just
Okay.
sharp people will watch it.
Why don't we start from A? We'll start with letter A, and if nobody has anything, I'm just gonna run right down them. Because we actually have a young lady here that's gonna help us. Thank you for being here today, by the way. Marva Maid Dairy Renewal. Anybody? Any questions? No. Okay. Legion Stadium Attendant Renewal. Nope. Riverside Paper Company Renewal. Nope. Cisco, whatever. Cisco Raleigh, Cisco Raleigh renewal. Both of you all doing it. This is bad. All right. Well, we're allowed to have fun here? Okay, we'll have fun. All right, MOU with University of North Carolina Pembroke Student Interns Counseling. Anybody? No? All right, contract with Public Consulting Group, LLC. Contract with New Hanover County Health and Human Services for school health services, nurses? Nobody, okay. Is there anybody out there? No, I'm sorry, okay.
I have read them, yes.
Okay. H, Brooklyn Arts Music Academy, BAMA. MOU, partnership agreement with New Hanover County Schools and Cape Fear Community College renewal? Nope. Ashley High School Marine Science UNCW MOU?
Yes.
One change. Yes, ma'am.
I couldn't find the change, so I want somebody to tell me what the change is.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought I had put it
No,
in
it's
there,
in
but
here.
it was a reduction from 7,000, I think, to 4,000, I think it's in there, but regardless, because the research vessel at UNCW is not currently accessible, so they are going to not be able to do that. So we negotiated a reduction in the price as long as the research vessel is not available for students.
That's kind of a big part of it, yeah.
If I could also make one statement about the partnership agreement with Cape Fear. The change in that order is for us to get updates weekly on student performance rather than 3 times a semester,
That's it.
Oh, that's great.
Oh,
which
nice.
is very well thought of, yeah.
Yes, very, very good.
So I do not want to pull that then. I'm good.
Okay. K, which is R&H Produce. Sir,
If I may, I apologize, that's actually a renewal, and I left the renewal off.
the R&H Produces?
Yes.
Okay. We can update that to say renewal, please? Are we going to pull L, or do you want to discuss it now, or do both?
I imagine it'll be a very short discussion. Let's go ahead and do it now, and if we feel it needs to be said to the public more broadly, we'll do it then.
Okay.
You know.
Doc?
The Bellamy HVAC project, that's what this is a part of. So the DDC controls, those are the digital controls that communicate with everything in the HVAC system throughout. Those parts are very expensive, and it is something that we've been working on quite a bit this year, dating back last summer. And like a lot of those projects, we get into it and realize that there are additional things that need to happen in order for the things we're attempting to fix to work correctly. So what this change order has done is accounted for a number of items that essentially were not in the initial scope. They've come up as a result of the work that we've been doing. The reason it's coming to the board specifically is because it pushes us over that $300,000 threshold, and so it needs approval from you all to move forward.
Is that common that we would have such a large change?
I don't think it's uncommon. I think it depends on the system we're working on. So you've heard me say before, the older the system, the more expensive to fix. And so sometimes when they are being fixed, we realize that they're more expensive than we originally anticipated.
I was a contractor. I know this. When we're trying to budget our money and we're trying to be responsible for the public, I feel like we need to be able to explain these things. That's all.
I understand.
Yeah.
Sure. Does this help? Go ahead. Does this help?
I mean, this is kind of what I assumed, but I think, the public needs to understand that we went into the system, we thought we knew it was wrong, we did an analysis, and once we started working, it's like, people would call me and they say, oh, I know you're too busy for a small job like this, but I just have this one tile in my bathroom shower that's loose. Well, you know where that's going. All of a sudden you find out the whole wall is rotted, the joists, the studs are rotten, and the sinking into the basement. And that's,
Yeah.
I'm assuming what happened.
Yes.
Not that exact thing.
Yeah, not that
yes.
exactly, but yes, I mean, it's just a matter of continuing to identify, address the issues that come to light.
Thank you.
And would you like to, go ahead and pull that and put that into old business?
I take the superintendent's point that we are in a public meeting. The public has the right and the ability to watch it, and if they're really concerned with this nitpicky of the information, they just got it.
Okay, thank you, sir.
And can you, because I flagged it too, $100,000 increase on a change order is a lot. But I also flagged the $715,000 for the coil on the roof of Williston in that memo about Williston. And I think it would help us in context. What would a new school HVAC system for Bellamy have cost us if we started from scratch? What kind of money is that? It's millions of dollars? What is it?
I can bring that to the next meeting if you'd like.
Yeah,
I
but
can't tell you off the top of my head.
It has to be
because-
some vast amount of money, right, to have a change
Yes.
order that was this high?
I mean, and if you think about, and I know Dr. Barnes has said this before, in looking at what we have asked in the bond, there's a reason why that is such a significant chunk of that money, because this equipment is not cheap. Fixing the equipment is not cheap. Brand new or replacement systems, they're just expensive, and they don't operate the way a typical HVAC system in your single-family home operates, because they've got multiple units, they're spaced out in multiple places throughout the building. The more pieces they have, the more components to the system, the more potential places for breakdown. And so because of how large these systems are, when we have something that breaks down and there's a ripple effect, it adds up very quickly.
So what's the square footage inside of, what school are we talking about, Bellamy? Approximately. Yeah, because we think of, like you said, a house system, and let's maybe say 2,500 square feet, we know what that HVAC system's going to cost us. But we don't have a clue what the one on this building is, or how many square feet are in this building. I know we have it in system,
48,000 square feet.
Bellamy?
This building? Bellamy,
Sorry, you said Bellamy.
48,000 square
Yes.
feet. So it's a huge amount. And I think sometimes when we read these huge amounts, we just need to put it in context of what we're talking about. I'm good with it, sir.
Mr. Perry?
And just, and I know in this case, it may very well be way more cost effective to go ahead and fix it. But there is a point where, you're throwing good money after bad when you have a system that's that old. And you can buy a new something, maybe not in this case, but you can buy a new something for cheaper than you can fix the original, at one, or almost as much. And at what point, I guess your general philosophy is when you see these kind of price increases, you reanalyze, okay, to see, this is getting really close, maybe we should go new, or maybe explain that to the public in here, because sometimes, especially like if you're talking about a car fixing or something like that, sometimes it's better just to the car.
Did my wife call you and tell you to say that? Remind me, I don't know.
But also, this is part of what we did for a year before we put the bond together.
Yeah, exactly.
Was looked at projects that we knew were going to be timely in the next 10 years. But this is sort of one of those things where we don't have the money to fix every HVAC system, but when we do start on something, we've got to finish what we start, because Bellamy won't come back around for a while.
Just?
Oh, he's pretty much done.
I just think, like, as we go forward, when we're having two new schools, when you find that number for the two new schools, hey, the HVAC system on this school is going to cost us X amount of money, just for our educational purposes. Because it amazes me how expensive the walk-in coolers are in the nutritional system. And it shocks me how much money that is. So it's just help our learning curve.
I understand, and I can do that. I think one more point that I think is also helpful to remember is when you're doing it with a new school, arguably, it's easier
Oh, sure.
to build in. It's part of the construction process. when you're dealing with an existing system, you've got to take something out that's already, it's built into the structure. But in addition to that, you've got parts of that system that may have been replaced over time as well. So you've got this part over here, maybe 10 years old, this part maybe 5, this part maybe 25. And so to Mr. Perry's point, I think part of what we end up looking at is okay, when was the last time we replaced that? Is that going to have a ripple effect if we take this part and try and renew that? So I do think our folks do a really good job of continually gauging where we are, what we've done, and what's coming down the pike. But yeah, to your point, Ms. Bradford, I think it's much easier to give you a cost estimate for something that's going to be brand new, and it may very well differ from something that's existing. But I'm happy to provide that.
No, it's not, don't put it on your top of your burning, it's just a fact that we can absorb.
Sure.
Thanks.
Okay. All right, so at this point, we will not add that as a separate under old business. And the last letter we have is M, document-based questions, secondary social studies curriculum. Okay.
No.
There. Yes, ma'am.
I just want to know more about this. Is this the first time we've done this type of thing? What does it entail? Is there a way that we, as board members who are responsible for curriculum, would be able to see what it looks like? You know, anytime we have a 3-year contract, it sort of alerts me to want more information, because once we start it, whether we want it or not, we're stuck. We have to get sued to get out of it. So I just want more information, please.
So year before last, we piloted this at Murray, New Hanover, and Williston as the social studies curriculum to align with the North Carolina Standard Course of Study. Had great responses. It's primarily a social studies program that uses primary source documents, historical documents, to lead critical thinking, and it also enhances and supplements writing standards and the writing curriculum. So lots of primary sources, critical thinking, and writing in the social studies curriculum. So last year, we had full implementation at all of our middle and high schools, very, very well received. The reason this is being brought to you is because the last 2 years, we've had a 1-year contract. This year, if we can do the 3-year contract, we will have a 20% cost savings by doing it for 3 years. And so that's the purpose of this today. I can give you a link to a website that I can put in Dr. Barnes's weekly update for you if you would like that as well.
Mr. Perry?
This concerned me as well, just because I've been concerned in general. We've seen the reports nationally and the studies that this computer learning is just not as good as traditional learning methods. And this is, now we're stepping a 3-year gung-ho, let's go AI / this program here for something that's social studies and history that a teacher could be teaching, be showing them primary source documents, very good, all those things, those critical thinking skills, but a teacher could be doing that interactively. Why do we need a computer program to do this? Why are teachers not doing this already? So,
I think that that's what the questioning is I think primarily based on, correct?
Right. Teachers are doing this, and this is not just sitting on a computer program. It's just having access to the documents and things from that. And again, it is enhancing the writing curriculum. So they're not just sitting and being on a computer.
161,000 primary source documents that you can get on Google? Come on.
Oh my God.
Ms. Justice?
I'm going to be calm here. I taught social studies for many years. My favorite resource was primary sources, but it took a heck of a lot of work. You look at the state curriculum and they say do this, and the other. We used to use textbooks, then we went online. This is just a fantastic source to have a huge amount of documentation that's already been gone through by social studies experts, history experts. It saved a heck of a lot of time for the teachers, but this is the best way for kids to learn. I've learned that from years of teaching social studies. Primary sources is always your number one way. So it's not a matter, it's like having a textbook. Now, in the past, now we have them online for computers, which gives you a lot more access to more knowledge. And somebody's done the vital work already, so I think that $160,000 is well spent because of the opportunity the kids will have to actually look at what was going on in the lives of these people who are experiencing them historically. That's how you really learn, in their own voices. Sorry, I could talk about this all day.
Dr. Merrick, and then
Well,
Barry.
my colleague to the right didn't get a lot of the points that I wanted to mention, but I'll just add a little bit to that, which is when we buy textbooks, we also get teacher manuals to how to teach the textbook, right? And I see this very much as in helping the teacher to teach the textbook. So I don't see this as any way out of ordinary for what we've seen in education for a long time. It just happens to be through internet sources and through online sources rather than textbooks. I see this as a wonderful opportunity for teachers to be able to help our students, especially, when you start to think about how to ask questions. How do we phrase this? Sure, you can dump a bunch of information on kids. They don't necessarily learn it. But the idea of helping them to ask the right questions so that kids can use critical thinking to learn. And not just learning, but learning critical thinking. It's very important, and our teachers do not have time for this. They don't even have a planning period. Okay, so I'm all in favor.
Thank you.
Mr. Perry?
And I'm not, but correct me if I'm wrong, Dr. Hamilton, this is not just an e-book worth of primary sources. There are exercises, there's others. Is it AI related? Is it asking you to iterate through problem-solving things? How does it work? I think, like Ms. Bradford, I want to see it in action. I want to see, how does it work?
I think that, this has been already in our schools for the last 2 years. You guys would like to see it at the middle and high school. I'd be more than happy to set up time for you to go and observe a social studies classroom. But this isn't a new thing. We've been doing this for the past couple of years. So I didn't want the board to feel like we're surprising you with something that we aren't already doing. This is something that we already have in place, so we can certainly highlight it with you. I don't think it is in AI in any way, shape, or form. I think it's a way to help the teacher guide students through questioning, through primary source documents and that sort of forth. It's what I see when I go in.
Yes, questioning, supporting questioning, gathering and evaluating sources, developing claims, using evidence, communicating ideas, and taking informed actions.
So it's not a student sits down by a laptop and
No, students are not sitting in front, no.
and the teacher's sitting over there doing a
They
grading
complete
task.
projects.
No.
Ms. Bradford?
I'd like the courtesy of just holding it out for next time, and so I can just see. I'm at this point where I need to see with my eyes, because I don't understand what I'm trying to comprehend. So the link that she's going to give us,
I can
we've got
send a
plenty of time
link.
before our next board meeting.
I can send, right, and I can send a link.
So,
in your
in
update,
other words,
that's
keep
for
it off the
sure.
consent agenda for now, but maybe when we come back after the holiday, I'll put it back on consent. I just want more information.
So you're saying let's move it to old business?
If you want, yes, sir.
Okay, all right, let's move to old business, and we can discuss it further in 2 weeks. Okay?
How much time do we have?
How much time do you think, Dr. Hamilton?
10 minutes.
10 minutes, okay. All right, now we'll go to policy, and I'll turn it over to our policy chair to my right. Ms. Mason?
It's 3 policies, one that was sent back. The other 2 have a couple of required changes, which are basically just the references, the legal references, and then some recommended changes. Those are from NCSBA, so 50, 71, 73, 51, and 7130, those 2. Those are all NCSBA changes. And then 4318 has the changes that were requested by my colleague to the right, as well as NCSBA changes. So I don't think it should take probably more than 10 minutes. It was a unanimous send it through, so that's just my thought.
And that's what we have right there is 10 minutes. Mr. Perry?
I just want to be clear, I'm going to ask our attorney, because I did finally see the change that was in the introduction paragraph. Because at first I was like, what change? But now it's on there and I can see it. Do you think that introductory sentence is enough that would allow a student to photograph a situation, for instance, that they saw was kids fighting or something nefarious is going on, would that sentence protect them to record that?
It's the rationale behind it. Remember, these policies are enforced by school staff, by school administrators, and it gave them direction on how to address that kind of situation. So that was the thought process behind it. That, you know, we're instructing staff. This is the intent of it. This is how you enforce it. That's helpful.
Unless you guys have heard differently, I have not heard a student be penalized for something of this nature. Up to this point that I've heard of.
Dr. Merrick and Ms. Mason?
I don't believe that students have been penalized yet. I wasn't suggesting that. But as we change this policy, as we create the policy that says we can't be taking pictures of other students, then perhaps some of the things they're doing today would get them in trouble. So I guess what I wanted to just go through we looked at this, we said this is a great idea, we don't need kids taking pictures of other kids and using it for cyberbullying, but then we realized when the public said, hey, what about a whistleblower clause? And we were going to write in there all these different things. Well, if they used it for this, it would be okay. If we used it for that, it would be okay. And it could go a long list. And as our attorney, Mr. Blanchard, suggested, if we simply put this in the preamble, that would mitigate all the different ways that we would have to delineate how you could use your phone. I think, I agree with our attorney that this covers, anything that is in good faith.
Thank you, sir. Mason?
I just wanted to apologize to everybody because initially you couldn't see the changes, that initial first set of changes, but that was brought to my attention and we remedied it. So my apologies on that.
Ms. Bradford?
What y'all said earlier about now that we have it down, students may not use wireless communication devices inside school buildings, at school-sponsored events, or on school buses to capture audio, video, or still pictures of other students and/or employees in which such individuals can be personally identified, nor share them. Do we think this is going on now, and this is an attempt to curb it? Is that what we're saying? And with a point of order here, if we're going to continue to streamline how we do things and make notes, when we put these policies in, if we have it where the policy is, if it said, I always get the language wrong, but SBA suggested, required, mandated, do this or die. If we could put that with the number of the policy, it would help us know what we're thinking about. But this one this students may not use, that came from NCSBA, and it was required or suggested or what?
It was recommended.
Recommended.
And we do, the policy committee, and I'm assuming everybody on policy gets this spring or fall updates, and that's where we get the information, which everybody here I think has served on policy, so y'all know, but just for the public's knowledge, we all on policy do get this that tells us, the changes that are recommended, strongly recommended, required, and for 4318, they were just recommended from NCSBA. And so I think that was, the addition was because of some concern that had been brought up. I don't know if it's happening per se, but just to make sure that we're protecting our kids.
And have we checked to make sure this isn't going to really make a wrinkle in schools' days, principals' days, or whatever? Is this cool with the district, Dr. Barnes?
I just don't want kids to be willy-nilly recording everybody else. Because we've had that issue several times. But when I was a principal, I'm never going to turn down information that helps me allow me to have the school be safer either. So I think that it is fine if that's what the SBA recommends. I get it. I think us putting in the reminder at the beginning that I don't like the term whistleblower because that has sort of a term aside to it that it's got kind of a tattletale connotation to it, I feel
Negative.
like. Or a negative connotation to it. I think that all kids should be invested in keeping their schools safe. And if a kid records something that he thinks would help the administration maintain order or safety, then I think that that is fine. So I think that that reads, I think that we may be overanalyzing the way that our principals will respond when
Okay.
someone brings them information. And senior staff, you guys tell me if you think I'm wrong, if that makes sense.
It does make sense, and I want to add in just for the board's information, anytime an investigation happens around a student, a behavioral incident, and that might lead to a disciplinary action, the investigation always includes the culpability of the student, which means like what was their intention, what were they seeking to, to do in that action, and so that always comes out. Culpability is really important anytime we do an investigation around student behavior.
Yeah, in other words, sometimes people record something to put online and make fun of that person. Sometimes people record things because we need to see them. And the intent is part of that resolution as it goes down, if that makes sense.
Good. All right, we'll allow 10 minutes for that. Going down to old business, remember we did add M down, so we'll have an E there. So we have A, school-sponsored clubs and student activity fees. I think Ms. Justice will be glad to see that on there, as we shared yesterday, Sunday night, excuse me. How long do you think that will take, sir?
Well, I'll tell you, as long as you guys have looked at it and reviewed it and understand it, I think it can go fairly quickly. But there's a lot in here because it's about, what we have talked about is every July bringing you our student fees and all these fee schedules on a consistent basis. So families who think, oh, well, you did it in July, or why didn't you do it, blah, blah. A lot of things factor into this, so we're not prepared to bring it to you until July, but we also want our parents to have a head start on next year. So you can expect to see this fee schedule come every July from now on, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So there's a lot in there, but it shouldn't take more than 10 minutes to go through, because nothing on here should be a surprise to you folks either.
Say
Because
10
I think
minutes.
we've discussed most of it already in some form or fashion.
Perfect. We'll say 10 minutes then. B is proposed stipend changes for the 26-27 schedule.
And that is specific to add the coaching stipends in for flag football and men's volleyball.
So maybe 5 minutes for that?
I was kind of hoping 10 minutes for all of this.
Okay. So,
And the stipend changes are the only changes in it are for the flag football and.
Yeah, they're in red.
There's also the additional stipend for off-season coaches who have CDL to drive the buses.
Oh, yes, thank you. That is one other thing that we've added in this year is if you're an off-season coach and you're driving for another team, you get the higher stipend as a bus driver,
There
which
it
we
is.
thought is fair, more fair.
makes sense.
Those are the only 3 changes on the schedule.
Mr. Perry?
Just one, since we're talking about it, how are we doing in relation to the number of girls sports versus boys sports, Perry and I?
Yeah, I believe we have a pretty strong match. We are certainly responsive to any interest level. So we don't have all sports that don't have interest level, but I don't know of any that we're inconsistent with a match.
And I think it is important to remind everybody, like I guess there's a question. Men's football, or boys football, but a female could play on the men's sport, in that sport, correct? Or no, for flag football? I don't know, it's a good question.
Right, so I believe so. Let me double check on that because I think that's gone both different directions.
Okay.
But let me double check on that for you.
Okay. Well, I was saying, it used to be with football, that a girl or a boy could play on the football team because there was no comparable sport. But I don't know if flag football counts as a comparable sport or not. I have no idea.
Oh, I can answer that. I didn't understand the question at first.
I didn't say very well. That's why.
So I don't think it would not require a female to leave a football team and join flag football.
Okay.
Yeah, I do not believe that, but I will double check since it's newly
okay.
sanctioned.
I didn't know whether, because football has always been, because it's not a comparable female sport. that a girl could play on a boys team, on that team. But I didn't know if flag football counted as a comparable sport, but I'm hearing the answer is no. No. I was saying, but I didn't know whether, that you basically, like baseball and softball aren't exactly the same, but they count as pretty much the same. Yeah, thank you. Okay, Ms. Bradford?
Point of information.
There we go.
Looking at old business, the clubs and student activity fees, A. B, the stipend changes. C, facility use schedule we haven't gotten to yet. Is there any reason in a regular, if we deal with it in policy, that we couldn't consider those, and then if there was no contention whatsoever, go ahead and vote on them in this kind of meeting so that we don't have to do them in the regular board meeting? Just trying to clear our plate for more stuff in the board meeting. But, I mean, we talk about it now and feel good about it now, but we're going to repeat the same effort, in however many days. Normally it's a week. So I'm just asking y'all to think about, as we go through this, why couldn't this be old business consensus if you felt like we had to do it on the regular board meeting day? Just looking at it, because this stuff could be handled today, and then they could get on with their fees and so on. If we've read it beforehand, we've discussed it here today, why do we have to push it to another meeting to repeat that entire process? So I'm trying to get us to think about.
So okay, I'll start with Ms. Justice.
Thank you. Well, the reason is because our regular board meeting, more people watch. That's all there is to it. More people pay attention to it. You look at, if you're going to, or come to the audience. I mean, that's the point of having a regular meeting, is so the business meeting, so the public can view, and participate in different ways. I mean, I would love to be able to put everything up totally equally and make it a little more practical. But, I'm not on. Sorry, I hope I'm loud though. But the whole point of having a regular board meeting is so that people, the parents, can participate, and any taxpayer. And this is the kind of thing they want to talk about during a regular board meeting, not during an agenda review. I mean, that's from years of understanding how people participate in public, meetings, or pay attention to them. That's why I would say leave it as it is. So I'm not trying. I'd love to be able to have less time, but that's practical.
Dr. Merrick? Mr. Perry?
Yeah, I was pretty much going to say something similar, that if it's anything that we think that the public would have an objection to, I think we owe it to them to do it after, it's been on the agenda. They have the right to call to audience and address it. That's just fair play.
Mm-hmm. And Mr. Perry?
I was just going to say the same thing.
Okay, ditto. Okay.
But it
Yes, sir.
also doesn't take much time for me to just run through this and explain it, and you guys vote on it. We don't have to discuss it again, which then saves time.
Are you saying when we do have? Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
reason we have it.
Well, and as Dr. Barnes just mentioned, I was going, line by line on this thing, but he said, he thinks 10 minutes would cover all three of them, just kind of this amount. So, and we do have E also to add there. We have the facility use fee schedule, and then school nutrition meal prices. And right now we have the document-based questions, secondary social studies curriculum. So we may or may not have that on as E. Ms. Bradford?
I have a question on C.
C.
If we're ready for that.
Can I just,
Yes,
so how much time are we allotting them separately, or are we putting them all together?
You said 10 minutes.
Well,
I can hit 10 minutes.
10 minutes.
I can
Okay.
but that
handle
only
some in
covers
3 minutes.
those 4. That doesn't cover the last one.
It doesn't cover the last one, no.
That we've already designated as 10 minutes. So do we, as of right now, A is for 10 minutes. Do we want to just do 5 minutes for each of the other ones?
Yes.
Sure.
Okay.
And we had a question on C, so go ahead.
Well, let's go back to that information. So these first 3 that we've discussed now, if nothing pops up in your world between now and next week, do we see a need to discuss them again? I guess would be my question. As Dr. Barnes is saying, lump them together, and then we could have one vote for all 3, and that would save time. But if we have to open it, have some introduction from the staff, because the public can't comment on that at that point, because the comment period is I mean, we've already had call to audience, and we're just taking up time and repeating what we've said, having a discussion and a vote, just repeating ourselves. So I'm just trying to think of ways to streamline, and if maybe we have old business consensus and all three of them are there, you just make a motion to pass consensus. I don't know. I'm just trying to get you guys to think of a new way. Not the way we've always done it, but a new way.
I think because this involves families and finances, I'd like to make sure I at least take a little bit of time to run through it
Okay.
for people to see it. I don't think there's anything that's stopping you as a board member saying, I make a motion, we approve all A, B, and C together. And I think you could certainly do that. I think, but this kind of information, I think, is important to at least make sure the public has laid eyes on.
Yes, this one.
But no, A and B and D too, because that affects families.
Yeah, and I have a question on this one.
Well, we're going to go over here first, and then we'll
Sure.
wait, and then we'll go back.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I do know that sometimes the public feels like they're not part of this decision-making process. I want to point to the fact that that last policy we changed was because the public came forward and said something. The fact that we're talking about it today gives the public time to, if they're paying attention, they heard it today, they can get that information back to us so that by the time we do talk about passing this next week or 2 weeks from now, they've had a chance to talk about it. They've also had a chance to come to call to audience. I think it's vitally important just for the relationship between the public and the board that we leave room for them to interject. And I do want to point to the fact, again, that their interjection caused us to change this policy, and that's good communication between the board and the public.
Fair?
I have a question about these are the increases to the meals for the
We still want to see.
CEP schools. I see that where lunch down at 12, it's gone from $3.75 to $4. But as I was told some time ago, the average cost of lunch is $4.90. So how are we still not losing money here? That's my question.
I'm going to let Rob answer it, but I'm going to say it's because it's supplemented by the federal nutrition program, but I'll let you go ahead.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I mean, we do receive cost reimbursements for portions of those meals that are sold.
It's like minuscule, if they're not. It's minuscule for the paying students, correct? For the ones that qualify for free or reduced lunch. At a non-CEP school.
I guess, can you clarify what you mean by that?
I think the reimbursement rate for a lunch, the maximum for a CEP school is like $4.66, whereas it's well under $1 for the percentage that's your average, the percentage of non-CEP. So I'm assuming that the price of producing that lunch is still $4.90 even at a regular non-CEP school. So if we're only paying $4 and we're only getting a handful of change, do we even get that with a non-CEP school? I mean, obviously the free and reduced lunch ones, we get some money back for them, but even if we do, we get a very minuscule amount back for the kids' school pennies, basically.
I see what you're saying. The percentage that we get reimbursed for the CEP schools being different than the ones that are not. That's
Right.
specifically what you're referring to?
Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
so it's quite a big difference, like from $4.60 for the percentage of people, those percentage of people, but then it's only like, I don't know, 20 cents or something I forget for
So the cost, the plate cost for, and that includes food, labor, supplies, operating costs, was $5.52 per meal in the 24-25 school year. Last year, the plate cost decreased to $4.90 per meal, as you mentioned. So, I mean, ultimately, you are correct. The all-inclusive cost is higher than that, but at some point, I think the question is, how much of that are we passing on to students, and how much of that are we trying to make sure we are providing meals at a reasonable cost, while also continuing to make sure that that the school nutrition program is a self-sustaining entity. I do have, Ms. Rossi is here, she's the assistant director. I don't know if you'd like to add anything about that?
Would you
Come up to the microphone.
Other people can hear you.
Ashley Rossi, everybody.
So we actually received 53 cents this year per paid student in our reimbursement, so that kind of balances out that, if I'm understanding the question correctly. And that's any paid student at any non-CP school.
It's just a little close.
Yeah, it's a little bit closer, maybe not exact, but it is a little bit.
Ms. Justice?
Well, I'm not even quite sure, is this always for clarification? Is that maybe what this discussion is about? Which is what, people are learning stuff.
I want to make sure that our nutrition program is not spending more than it gets. It can be self-sustaining.
It already is.
Well, not if the price of everything keeps going up, but the price of our food and our facilities and all that keeps going up, but the price of the meal we're charging doesn't rise with it. And so,
Well, that's the reason for the recommendation,
That's
this
what we're doing.
increase, is because of the cost associated with the food that we order and serve, and the delivery costs as well continue to rise. So part of what we're trying to do is close that gap.
Dr. Merrick?
I think it was almost a year ago that we had a very long presentation about our child nutrition services. And yeah, it's complicated. It was like, I understood at the time, but if you asked me to repeat it all, I couldn't do it, okay? But one thing is that A, it made sense when it was explained, and two, when we had the audit here, not 4 months ago, what we found is we had extremely high marks and praise for the way that we did perform our child nutrition services, that it was profitable more than most schools that they had audited. And so is that the way you remember it, Dr. Bryant?
Good. So if you remember last year, there was a point in time that we were not going to get reimbursed for the federal lunch program, the federal meal program, during the SNAP benefits and those things that happened like last October. And because nutrition has to run in a separate financial world than the rest of the money, we don't spend local dollars, we don't spend state dollars, we don't spend our operational expenses on school nutrition. They are self-sustaining. And they had built up enough of that they could have run us for at least a month, almost 2 months, without having the federal reimbursement to keep kids fed. So it is in the black, it is solvent. A lot of that is based on what's called enterprise sales, which is you can go back up and buy another milkshake, not a milkshake, like an ice cream or a cookie or whatever. That helps balance that out. I was concerned about raising prices at all in today's financial climate. This small amount is as much as I'm willing to increase for parents who are already feeling the burden of the costs that they're having now. So you guys are in the black, you stay in the black. So this is a balance point. That makes sense. Thank you.
Okay. And let's go back to C, because Ms. Bradford had a question on C.
It was nothing. I can ask it offline.
Okay. All right, so do we say 10, you think 10 minutes, 15 minutes? With E? I mean, with E, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
15 total, yeah. Okay.
Which is E again?
you asked for.
E is the
EDQ.
document-based questions, secondary social studies
Yes.
curriculum, if we put that on there.
Thank you.
All right, new business, consideration engaging interest for world religion and comparative religion studies. How long do you think that would, you'd like to, Mr. Barry, you brought that forward?
yeah, I brought that forward your second. And I saw Dr. Barnes' letter. He's recommending three of the, you're offering that we send that up, those three out.
I would recommend that we discuss it first, right? This is just what the protocol would be to add, the protocol we already have to add courses, and the courses that I looked at in the state, that are already in the state course guide that we might want to consider.
Okay, so I think at least 15 minutes then.
And I think the reason I wanted to bring this attention, sometimes, I'm sure the usual process is parents ask you, because there's a lot of demand coming from the parents, hey, can you give us this class? Can you give us this? But I don't think a lot of people in our community even know that these classes could be taught. So I would like to say that the board is offering these classes as elective pursuant to the fact that, there's enough interest to do it.
Okay, we're going to start with Ms. Mason, Ms. Bradford, Dr. Merrick, Ms. Justice.
I know that when I was hoping for an ASL class, American Sign Language class, within our high schools, I reached out to our curriculum expert over there, and I think it would probably be good that it goes to the curriculum committee, because then they can kind of gauge, I don't know if it would be just a directive for us to tell Dr. Hamilton, or if it would be, but they sent out an interest form or some sort of something to gauge the interest for American Sign Language. I think it would probably be a similar concept, if I had to guess. Is that correct?
No, I think that's all I'm asking, is that I think kindly ask Dr., if we vote on it, kindly ask Dr. Hamilton to do it.
Okay.
You're correct, just like Dr. Barnes' memo to you said, that we would gauge interest. And it could be in the course catalog, we already have state courses that are there, if there were interest, to be able to create a class and to have an instructor for that class.
I do have one other question though for you. Do we have any teachers currently staffed that would be certified to teach?
So this, as I said in the memo.
General, they need a specialized class.
Yeah, as I said in the memo, it's under the social studies licensure group. I think the tricky part, there's a couple of tricky parts in it, right? So one, we already staff our history teachers, there is a required history course every year. World history, American history, civics, and economics. Did I get those right?
Yes, you did.
Adding another course as an elective could require us to also add staff, which would require us possibly to remove staff from something else. So what we normally would do is if there was a strong interest base, we would put it into the course catalog for students to choose from. We would then build classes based on student interest. And these classes that are sort of niche elective classes may only get offered once in an entire yearly cycle, and then the rest of the kids' schedule sort of builds around it. But gauging interest is the first step in the process. But when we see what kind of interest there is, that could require us to look next year at shifting a budget, to pull away from one subject area to give to another based on the interest, right? Because if more kids want this than they want creative writing, then we could have to shift a teacher from one to the other. It also could impact on which schools are interested, because not all schools may want it in the same way. And then the last determining factor I want to make sure is you guys understand that our standard course study, our master schedule for next year is already locked down and set. Kids are populated into these classes, so you're actually talking about the 27-28 school year.
Ms. Bradford?
And that was, I kind of wanted Dr. Barnes to explain his memo, which I read on my phone earlier today. Now I've got it up on my laptop because it's connected here. And I think you just explained your memo, didn't you?
I gave it
Pretty
a good old
much.
college try.
Yeah. So the new business says consideration of gauging interest. So I would agree with Vice Chair Mason that we should probably send this from
Right.
here to the curriculum committee to gauge the interest. If it were to pass in a vote to send it to curriculum, it may die with lack of second or whatever. But then rather than us hash it out, the nuts and bolts of it here or when our next meeting is. But we could make a vote today if there's enough interest to even do it at all. But rather than keep it on the agenda for next meeting.
I think you would ask us to gauge interest first, and
Yes.
that would, I don't know if it's, I don't know how I feel. I guess maybe it is
Yeah.
something or not to say the board deciding what courses we offer. I think that really should generate some student interest in standard course of study and balance it that way. Someone's putting the top up. But I can certainly gauge interest, but that will have to wait until the kids come back, obviously.
Yeah, well, if we can't do it until a whole year from now anyway, there's time to do those things.
Sure.
Dr. Merritt?
Dr. Hamilton, doesn't our curriculum, the history curriculum, already have a brief bit of information about world religions included?
That's
So our
correct.
students are getting information about world religions as a matter of core curriculum.
That's correct.
Mostly in world history, I think, and then you get it in K-8 and such like.
Ms. Mason?
And just for clarity, I went ahead and calculated the rest of the meeting time, and good job, guys, right at 180 with a bathroom break. So there is time for this discussion with 15 minutes, if y'all want to keep it on there. So.
And Ms. Justice, I believe you
I'm in a very unusual situation. I actually taught world religions back in the 90s at Laney, and we did go through the interest. It was sort of borderline, so we went ahead and set the course up. I love teaching it because it covers, I mean, it's nice they mention it in social studies, but if you really want to get in depth with what's going on worldwide historically, I mean, social studies, I'm a nerd, okay, that way. And it was a great course, but then, you know, the 10-day mark hit when school started. I put a lot of work into it. The few kids in the class were excited, and they needed an extra staff. Social studies elsewhere, according to state regulations.
Right.
And so I had to say goodbye to the class, and the kids were upset, and I was upset. So what I'm saying is that it's hard to put something like that in there, and it would be great if it worked out. And, you know, it would take a year to figure out if it's going to, but the interest wasn't there then enough to keep it going even then.
Well, and it's interesting, there may be options, and I didn't check this, and I'm sorry that I didn't think about this until literally this second, but North Carolina Virtual Public School may have a course that aligns to that too, and sometimes when we have a group of kids who are too small for a whole section, but have a genuine interest, we will divert them into those classes. We offer French, we offer Spanish, we offer, do you still offer Italian? But some niche classes, we did a Mandarin class last year, if I remember right. But like Russian, you're going to take that online because there's only a couple of kids who want Russian. So that way we're not really rushing to add it to the curriculum.
Oh my God.
Ms. Beth, please.
So I'm going to just jump out here and move to send to the curriculum committee consideration of gauging interest for world religion and comparative religious studies.
Okay, that was a motion, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes,
Is there
sir.
a second? Is there a second?
Second?
Okay, first and second. Terry?
Just point of clarification, are you saying the three classes, we are instructing the three classes Dr. Barnes is recommending? Or-
There are
There's like
a
7 or
ton.
8 of them, aren't there?
There are a ton of classes that I think circle around this subject. They're not all world religion specifically. There is,
They throw the New Testament.
well, there was a lot of interesting ones that I thought were, if I think I'm going to find it right now, I'm just crazy. There were some out there courses, especially in the sociology realm. I will tell you that once we open the door, we open the door. I picked these first couple of classes because I think they are comparatively non-denominational. The last one there was an intro to New and intro to Old Testament, but I have not heard any schools that do them recently. But I think a world religions class would be a healthy opportunity for kids. Same with Religion in America. I think that has some interest in it. I think it'll be difficult. We'll have to find the right teacher because don't forget, we don't have a course guide, syllabus, or standard course of study. The state says, if you want to create those courses, you create the syllabus and the course itself. So we would have to have a teacher create them. And I think it would take the right teacher to make sure that that is done in a way that is non-denominational, I guess, for lack of a better word. I know that a lot of our teachers have concern about making sure that they are not trying to impart their political religious beliefs onto students. So we would have, that syllabus would have some kind of rider in it that says to parents, this is the topics, this is what we'll be discussing.
so that we can forestall some of those concerns that might come up.
Jennifer?
If you want me to amend that, since you haven't restated it, I move to send to the curriculum committee, per Dr. Barnes's memo, consideration of gauging interest in world religion and comparative religious studies. So incorporate what he's already made as parameters, and that will deal with the fact that we'd have to come up with the funds for a teacher.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second, and Ms. Justice, will you continue your second on that?
I'm just incorporating his memo into that.
To the curriculum committee?
Right.
Yeah,
Okay, I just want to make sure, because she has changed. Okay.
Yeah, no,
So
that
we have a first and
works.
second, is there any further discussion? Oh,
I have a little bit of something, so
Okay.
sorry. I realize that all of this is legal. I know that I've heard so much pushback from the public around the doctrine of the separation of church and state. And I think world religions or religion in America are broad and help children to understand, you know, how diverse the country and the world is and how different ideas have bubbled up through time and history in religion. I think that's brilliant. I'm a little more concerned if it's talking about one religion. Number 3 seems to be talking specifically about a specific Christian text. And I have the text at home and I read it, okay, so don't get me wrong. But I'm concerned that that's more narrow in its application, that I like the idea of the comparison and the diversity of religion better.
okay, thank you. Ms. Mason? Ms. Justice?
And I think that the purpose right now of the motion is just to gauge interest. So it may not, or it may gauge the interest. And I think once we know where that's at, I think moving forward, then we could have more of those discussions. But at this point, if kids aren't interested in taking it, it's a moot point.
Ms. Justice?
well, curriculum committee is the appropriate place.
Yeah.
That's all I was going to say.
Okay.
Because this is the kind of discussion that they should be having with more expertise in certain areas, especially with professional staff.
Okay, Mr. Perry?
Just a question, because this was sent to the curriculum committee, the motion being made, send it to the curriculum committee, like, go ahead, we want you to gauge interest for this, and do it however you like, but this is the vote, we are asking you to go ahead and start gauging interest.
That would be my understanding.
Okay.
Okay.
Specifically,
Well,
these...
and the procedure I laid out that we already have does bring this back to the board for a vote before it gets added into the curriculum. So that is step 4 or 5 in the process, is we gauge interest, we discover there is enough interest, we find a teacher is willing to teach a subject, we build the course catalog and course study, and then bring it back to you guys, I think it says in October, for approval for the following school year.
Okay.
So where it's not
You got a
done with you
timeline in
guys, it
here.
would take a circle back around.
Okay, so this, I will restate it now. The motion is to send this topic, which is consideration of gauging interest for world religion and comparative religion studies, per Dr. Barnes' memo, to the curriculum committee. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, like sign.
Nay.
Nay, okay. Now we have, so that passes 5-1, and it will be, obviously, we will not be discussing it next week. So that would remove that from there. Will we have a closed study next week, sir?
Of course we don't.
You think you'll have a personnel agenda next week if we do it today? HR is going so fast and furious, I would say, can we kind of just save place for one?
Well, we just saved some time, so.
Yeah.
Mr. Perry?
How are we doing on time? It sounds like this is going to be a relatively short meeting. How are we doing on time at the moment?
Well,
Well, prior to that vote, we were right at time with that. We were right at 180 because we're, right?
no.
Nope, that's only 3.
Yeah.
So we had an extra half hour. Yeah, math is not my strong
So
suit.
then we just
So
eliminated that. So.
we eliminated that. So after that, I calculated with correspondence, announcements, and a 5-minute break. I did not calculate the closed session. I have 165.
So if we're going to hit probably 15 by the time, I will say, we're not the quickest getting into closed
In and
session
out.
usually, so it usually takes us a few minutes to get there. so we're probably another 15 minutes anyway.
I just wanted to, since we have some extra time now, and this might be the appropriate time, I know I have submitted one in regards, another agenda item, and we were going to put that on for next month because you're going to put this one on for this month in regards to the religion classes. But can I make a motion to go ahead and add that to, since we have some extra time to add that?
Make a motion.
Dr. Mayor, you're the one, the data protection resolution, you second it. To be a resolution to make sure that when we're picking software, not to to do our best, unless it's required by the state or DPI or any of that, that we need to try to wean ourselves off of software systems that commingle our data and put it at risk with other operations. So,
And if I can just interject real quickly, because it was not up for this month, I don't think that Dr. Barnes' team is ready to discuss it next week, so I think it'd be better probably suited in August.
I just figured we have more time.
Yeah, no, I'm understanding it, but I think that, because it wasn't on for this month, to be honest, to be fair to them, I don't think, would you agree?
I just don't know if I'm going to be ready in that time.
Right, so, all right.
Because we have a leadership retreat with people going on vacation, things like that. I just don't think I'll be.
Leadership, were we getting invited to that?
I already?
No, he uninvited us.
I know.
Well, yeah, if you don't have enough staff, then I'll withdraw my motion.
Okay, thank you, sir. All right, so we have, what are we, with the, say, 15, well, let's say 20 minutes, because if we say 15 minutes.
Stop changing the time.
Well, I mean, it's probably going to be 15 minutes in there, but it's probably going to take us 5 minutes to get a pen.
I am scribbling everywhere. So, without the closed session, it's 165. With the closed session, and about 20 minutes, it's 185.
Okay, well, that's good. That
Still
should-
under.
Yep, that'll be good. Okay. All right, we will carry on with today's agenda then. If anybody has anything else? Today's agenda, we will carry on. We need to do the update on the hearing. And as we have said, Dr. Merrick said very well, that we are kind of in a holding pattern. I think I've shared with everybody individually, but I'll say it again. I did speak with Senator Lee, and he said that it's probably about 2 weeks out. He thinks it will pass, but again, you never know for sure. My thought is, we can go ahead and establish a date if we want to. I would say probably later in July. It doesn't make a lot of sense to, go ahead and do stuff, and then, if the GA comes back out and says yay, nay, or whatever else, we may have to change. But if I establish a date late July, we said we were going to discuss it by August. We can go ahead and put that date out if that's okay with everyone. I'll get that date out to you. Today is Tuesday. By Thursday, several dates. Actually, Julie is mine. I will send them through her, and we can look at maybe 2 or 3 dates later in July, and we'll go with whoever. I'm sorry.
If I can ask a question, I don't know I don't think you should have a town hall regarding this subject without this being resolved at the state level.
I agree.
Because I think it's unfair to our families to give them the idea that we have complete control over the conversation, which at this point in time, I don't know as if we did.
Well, my thought, and that's what we need to do, is we need to discuss it. But my thought in it is that if we set the date and it's still a question mark, then we go ahead and cancel or postpone the hearing, which is not a great thing, moving it. That's why I'm saying if we wait till later in July, hopefully it'll be resolved. If it's not resolved by then, we would either cancel or postpone it, and we can move from there. So, Ms. Mason?
But also, if it does get pushed through and it does get pushed and it gets voted down, whatever occurs, and we do still need to have it, setting it up at the last minute is going to be kind of challenging to coordinate all the schedules. I think that I think was the other concern. that Mr. Wildebohr and I had
And I think
discussed.
maybe make it into later July to
Right.
give
that's
the
what I mean.
legislature as much time as they can to
Right.
land this plan.
Absolutely.
Right.
Thank you for reminding me of that. Okay, I'm going to go to Doc. Ms. Bradford.
What happens if this drags out at the state level? I'm just concerned, I went to the filming, there's another film showing, it's an hour-long film on the topic. I went to it Friday night, I wanted to hear the questions, and they said, because they were speaking on the information they had, there will be a hearing, the school board will be having a public hearing, and when you put that out there, and you put that out there, and then you take it back, sometimes people think that you're trying to be sneaky, or you're shady, or hiding it, or you changed your mind, or something. So I just want to make sure we don't get into that gray area where, oh, they had a public hearing, and then they canceled it. You know, and they may not ever hear the message that if that were to happen, maybe the Senate did pass it and it's taken out of our control. So I'm just careful about scheduling something that it's so ambiguous right now, and they don't know. I mean, I'm checking every day to see where we are, and it looked like the budget was going to maybe pop out before the 4th of July holiday, but now it doesn't look like it. And so I'm just loath to set something that we then have to take back for the appearance of taking it back. Just my opinion.
We'll go right down the line. How's that?
I agree with my colleague across the way that we could be looking at several different scenarios here. We could be looking at, okay, the state's not going to deal with it at all, we have to decide on our own. It could be that the state has decided one thing, but now we're going to have to figure out how we fit into that.
Yes.
Or it could be the state is going to come through with such a clear declaration that we don't have choices about anything. So we've got a lot of different potentials here. If we're, I mean, I'm in favor of just waiting to plan it, but I do understand that if we're going to do something, then that we would have to have a meeting. But we said at our last meeting, July or August for a town hall. And I would think if we're going to say something now, we should say August, because like my colleague has said, it doesn't look like it's going to go through by July 4th. I've been hearing through my sources as mid-July, that we're going to get a budget. So.
Ms. Justice, you're next.
Okay, there's an awful lot of information out there that I guess we don't know about sometimes. What do you mean you went to see a film on it? My colleague over here, you said that you went to see a film or video on the topic?
I don't really understand the structure of who's bringing this, but it's something like a steering committee. I'm not sure exactly have a good concept of what a steering committee is. I didn't do any research on this. I was kind of waiting to see what was going to happen, so I didn't put my energy into my due diligence. So I haven't looked at who the steering committee is, whatever, but they were showing on a Friday night a film that's been produced about LifeWise. And there's another one coming up at a church on, I think, Eastwood Road, maybe, in the next couple of weeks. I can give you that data. It's a beautiful film, and I just wanted to be able to hear the questions and get a feel for what they were saying in person before we have a public hearing. And so I appreciated going, and it was a nice night. But I thought they sent it, I don't know. I sent it to some of my friends to look at. So, LifeWise is making their information available if you want to see it. And they've got websites and so on. I've not been other than to pull it up and see they had one. But, I can share that. I don't know where it is right now, but I know there's another one coming up. I didn't want to see it, so I didn't retain the information. I've already seen it.
Mr. Perry?
First, I just want to say that I don't think this is good. I've got some problems with this whole thing. Not the whole idea. I think it's an open question of that we should be deciding, that we were planning on deciding on whether we should allow this or not. And now it seems like the state government, yet again, is trying to micromanage our school district. It seems to be a favorite pastime. They don't really believe in local government. And also the fact that they're sticking this in with the budget seems like, really, this has nothing to do with money. But anyway, that aside, I think we voted that we were going to have this meeting, this public meeting, hearing in July, and that we were going to vote on it at our August meeting. So if we are going to delay, then I think we need to somebody needs to make a motion that we rescind that until further notice or something, so that we're not breaking our promise.
Dr. Merrick?
I'm suddenly curious as to whether or not we did. I don't remember saying that we would vote on it during our August meeting.
And I would agree.
I don't think that was part of the plan.
I didn't remember that.
I thought we said, but I would agree with Mr. Fair, I think we said we were gonna have a hearing, maybe it was July or August, I thought it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but and that's the thing, it's not mine, we have six people around the table now, we need somebody to make, us all to make a decision, not somebody. But, yes, sir?
Could I maybe bring everyone else in the world up to speed real quick?
Yeah.
Just frame our thinking. So the discussion that we're having currently is about Senate Bill 10,006. I just sent you guys a copy of it. It's up here
It's
on the
linked.
board.
It's linked on there.
If you scroll down to page 19, there's a lot of stuff that's in this bill, not just about appropriations, but just sort of, it's not the actual state budget bill. It was a bill for several K-12 and community college innovational type things, and this part was added as an addendum after it was submitted.
Oh, that's, what page?
So this, page 19 is where the release time for religious instruction comes in. This bill also contains information about ATR, which we are very pleased with, that advanced teaching roles. It has a study for community college and high school collaboration on courses. It also includes an open enrollment study, which we already do for inside the county enrollment shifting, or open choice, which we already do. But for this Senate bill, it really talks specifically about not a specific program or unit doing this study. What it does require, though, in this is that the principal will be required to observe, hang on. It will require the principal to release a student for up to 4 hours a week for religious instruction. Those will be counted as excused absences. The students will be allowed to make up their work. It doesn't necessarily say that you have to go with this program or another one, but it does require the principal to release students for up to 4 hours a week for religious instruction, and that time or any curriculum that you miss has to be made up. Obviously, there are some concerns with the idea of students missing a certain amount of core instruction in a week, but I do want the public to know that in my conversation with you as a board and with our folks, this is something that may be required by general statute that will give this board a lot less room to maneuver in its, and I think you kind of said to that same thing. So I think for the public to know, because there has been a lot of questions, there have been a lot of noise raised at our level about this. I think that those folks who are raising concerns need to reflect those concerns also to our legislature.
Okay.
Because I don't want this board to get hung by a decision that gets made at the legislative level. Obviously, regardless of what you put into board policy, this group here that work with me have to follow general statute.
Dr. Merrick?
And I'm trying to keep up with this the same way everybody else is. But it's my understanding that parents already have the right to sign their children out to go to religious studies. And so what I'm saying is, if that's the case, that already exists, then how does this make things different? And does this bill, as it's stated here, require us to offer our staff to do the work of organizing bus trips and to keeping track of which students are leaving and coming, or does it just say that children can be excused?
This bill focused mostly on the requirement of the principal to make that time an excused absence.
Exactly, so it's an excused absence, but if I'm not mistaken, a parent can come into school right now and say, I'm checking my child out, we're going to go for religious studies, and we'll be back. And I believe that that's already legal.
But it may not be listed as an excused absence.
Got it.
And, makeup work is another piece. that,
Yeah.
may or may not be, you can take, I could go sign my child at any time, but, it could be, and like I say, that becomes, whether it's excused or unexcused, there's also laws, mandatory attendance laws that would come into play if you take your child out for.
But this doesn't say that we have to organize this.
No.
That our district does not have to spend our time and resources on
Right, and
organizing.
it has the same riders that I've already sent you in the memo, which is, can't take school resources, can't be on school time. I think, and some of this also is a misnomer. We're never gonna tell a kid, this is core instruction that you missed, you're not allowed to make it up. We don't do that. So I think that there is sort of a implied burden on the teacher, however, to, if kids are leaving randomly throughout the week, I need to keep track of what Tim missed and what Pat missed and poor Judy missed, and then I'm trying to catch everybody back up. So I think that that's sort of a understood thing here. Now, I'm sorry, David. I did go ahead and take the memo that I drafted for you guys with all of the pros and cons. I sent it to you about a month ago. We put it online for the board to read. I did contact our representatives with NCASA, which is the Superintendent's Association, as well as the NCSBA. I've contacted them, sent them our memo, and said, here are the things that we've been generating and concerned about, and the pros and cons that we want weighed in before this decision gets made.
And I'm going to go to Ms. Justice and Mr. Perry, but before that, I'm going to say, and please understand that, as my mother-in-law used to always say, please understand that when I did have a discussion with Senator Lee, I also raised, what kind of message are we sending to physical education, art, music, if we're saying, oh, you guys don't need to go to those classes, and, other concerns that we had. So I did raise those. Ms. Justice, and then Mr. Perry?
This could be for any board, right?
Page 21.
It's not limited
I'm on
to-
21.
It's up to whatever, I guess, the parents decide is a religious family foundation. Okay, so it could be for any.
It could be, any.
Tree worship is, by the way, I happen to love trees, but
Yeah,
yeah.
all right, Mr. Perry.
I just wanted to, because our attorney, Ms. Blanchard, reminded me, there is something, however, in this new amendment that would require us to adopt a policy in regards to it. So I don't know how much leeway that will give us and how we set it up. Can we set a certain date and time during the week, or, maybe that's going to depend, but it does require that we adopt a policy. So we may have some wiggle room there as far as how we would set it up. And I do want to say, this says religious instruction. We were talking before about character building, which potentially could be a secular character building type program. Now, apparently, that would not be included in this.
Right. Well, and as I shared with you guys when I talked to you, for the most part, we had something at one of the schools I worked at where we had like a club day at the end of the day, and that might be, but it's 4 hours. Obviously, we didn't go on for 4 hours. It was like an hour at the end of the day, but that could work. Ms. Bradford?
I'm reading this now. It's 19, 20, and 21. I would, anybody who's interested in it should read this bill proposal. Now remember, in the General Assembly, it's a proposal. It could be modified and amended until the cows come home. So there's no point in getting excited about what it says here because we can't control it. And it could change radically between now and when they finally pass a budget. It could be taken out of the budget at that point. So I think we just need to wait. I'm reading this as hard as I can. I'm pretty good at reading policy. And it's a little bit vague. So people that are interested, instead of reading what the news says or talking at the water cooler, they should read what's currently proposed and wait and see how the debate goes up there before we make our mind on anything. And that's my opinion.
So, importantly for us, that brings us back to the question of the hearing. Do we want to delay the hearing? Do we want to set a date for the hearing, and then if we need to, cancel that or postpone that? That's what we got to figure out right now. With this in mind, Dr. Mayor.
I would like to make a motion that we halt any plans for a public hearing until such time that the General Assembly passes whatever they're going to pass or don't. And that to try to second-guess that and have to perhaps delay it is going to cause more confusion and put more heat on us as someone, they're going to say, how come you didn't know, or why are you doing this to us, or why did you switch again? So I echo my colleague across the way that I think we should just wait. So be clear, my motion is to not schedule a public hearing until such time as the General Assembly decides or does not decide when the budget is passed.
And I don't think this is the budget bill.
But it's supposed to be linked to it.
It's peanut butter and jelly, correct?
Yeah.
It's an omnibusman, something, something, something.
But also, too, I want the public to know that we're not stalling because we don't want to make the decision. We're stalling because I don't want you guys to take the heat of making one decision and then having to come back and say, oops, changing it again. And I sort of want the public to know that if their concerns are valid that they brought to us, I would encourage them to bring them to their elected officials as well.
I'll second that.
Oh, you seconded. Well, she already seconded. So my question then is, like, I think we need to set a time limit. I mean, we were expecting a budget last year, never got one. So I would say if they don't do anything by the end of August, then we need to just do it on our own.
But to what, I mean, we still won't know that.
They could go till October.
Well, meanwhile, we're doing nothing. So in the absence of any change that gets signed, then we should just go ahead and proceed like it's our own deal. We can't wait forever.
Ms. Mason?
I understand the frustration of my colleague, but I'd be hesitant to make a decision that we would then have to backpedal and say, oh, wait, we didn't, oh, wait. But I do also want to get something on the books just in case, because I feel like if we don't, and, you know, by some amazing Saturnalia miracle that we have, they pass everything, and we have to scramble. I don't want to have to scramble because we're trying to hear from the people, and if we make it available and then cancel it, I think that's going to be a little less of a hit than if we wait till the last second. Oh, they passed it. Okay, let's get this together, you know, 2 days in. Like, I think that we need to consider scheduling it, but, yeah.
Ms. Bradford, then Ms. Justice?
And I would move to amend that we do exactly what was stated, with the caveat that you as board chair establish a hold-a-date, a couple of hold-a-dates for us, like we've done, like we do with student hearings. Ms. Bowie holds 2 dates way out there, and we know that something could come on that date, so we don't necessarily schedule something. Not to say that we've scheduled it, not to say, because the press will just say it's scheduled, and then they'll find some reason why we canceled it, and people, you know, I don't want to get into that. But I would be amenable to amending, and I would move to amend it to where you just try to find some dates on the calendar. Because right now, we're trying to find the date on the calendar for the Finance, Capital, and Bond Committee meeting. So I want to nail that down before you nail that down, because I don't want to do it on the same day. So I understand calendars and people trying to plan things, and I understand Ms. Mason's concern, but I do not want to schedule it, if that makes sense.
Okay, there's an amendment, a motion to amend. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, this is to hold the date.
So
Any
we're
discussion?
discussing that now?
We're discussing holding the date.
And you could have 2 of them.
Hold dates. I'll restate.
Oh,
So basically, we're discussing whether we want to find a date or dates that we would hold the hearing if it did, potentially, if it did pass.
Well, since we are the people that decide on these things, which is what this whole discussion is about right now, that seemed quite logical, as long as the public understands that this is being determined not by anything that we're doing, but by the legislature.
Right.
Okay? So, no, I have no problem with that.
Dr. Merritt?
I do like the idea of setting up a time. What I'm keep trying to process in my mind is how much blowback does the public experience if we cancel, for instance, over the fact that there is so many people in the public right now who want to come and speak their piece. And so I would like to, I guess, you know, I'm rethinking, and as you say it, perhaps we do set up a time, hopefully far enough into the year. You know, if we figure that maybe this is mid-July, that we have one in early August, we can call it temporary, right? We can say that temporarily we're holding this day for a public meeting, but the public is on pins and needles right now, many of them, wondering about this on both sides. And I think it's fair to let them know that we are listening, that we want to hear them, and so having a time set is actually a good idea, and I support the amendment.
Ms. Bowie, would you call the roll? This, again, this is on the amendment, which you would charge me to contact you all and go to Ms. Bowie to set a date or dates.
To hold.
To hold, not to publicize. And just to be clear, so everybody knows what they're voting on, we would not publicize those dates until we got closer or it
The
passed.
legislature does it.
Right.
Well, if we propose those dates as public, the public knows that there is a potential date. Yeah.
Ms. Bowie, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Perry?
Aye.
Ms. Justice?
Yes.
Dr. Merrick?
Yes.
Ms. Mason?
Yes.
Mr. Wildebohr?
Yes.
And Ms. Bradford?
Aye.
That passed 6-0. Okay, I thought there might be a little more discussion on that.
Mr. Woodruff,
Yes.
if I could ask that maybe I open it up with a 10-minute overview of this bill, of sort of where we are as a district first, to sort of set everyone's thinking, because again, part of my responsibility is to protect this board as well, and I want at least people coming knowing that this is a part of a larger issue, not one that's just New Hanover based. If that is okay with you. Yes.
Well,
I didn't understand what you just said.
Whenever we get
If we do this town hall, I'd like to
Oh.
open it with about 10 minutes of an
If and when
explanation
that time
about
comes.
this,
Got it.
when
Yes,
we
sir.
get to that point.
And now we're back to we voted on the amendment, now we have to get back to the original, which is to, I got it right here, wrote it down, because I figured we were going to go through this. Not to have a student hearing until the General Assembly makes a decision about, we'll say, to be very specific,
10-06.
if we can, Senate Bill 1006. Okay?
comment.
Please, go ahead.
I like superintendent's idea of having a, preamble to the meeting. I can even imagine that could go out sooner for the public as a memo, to the public.
I don't necessarily want this district to be the focal point for the legislature's feeling about this.
Thank you.
I also don't want to center myself as the superintendent, because this is a topic that really isn't, it is separate to the work that we do every day, right? So I would rather kind of have your superintendent look like he's keeping his eye on the prize. But I also don't want the legislature to feel like we are trying to impact on our public what we feel like they should do or shouldn't do. Just thinking of longevity for your superintendent.
All right, so again, we'll go ahead and vote on not setting a date until the General Assembly, not holding the hearing until the General Assembly makes a decision on Senate Bill 1006. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed. I read the room better that time. Great. Okay, all right. All right, so we will carry on with today's agenda. I see we have no old business, no new business, so we move now to our closed session. I will entertain a motion to go into closed session pursuant to General Statute 143-318-11 for the following purposes: to prevent disclosure of information as privileged or confidential pursuant to General Statute 115C 402, and not considered a public record within the meaning of Chapter 132 of the General Statute to prevent disclosure of student records rendered confidential on the family educational rights, to consult with the attorney in order to preserve the attorney-client privilege between the attorney and the board, and to consider qualifications, competence, performance, character, fitness, conditions of appointment or conditions of initial employment of an individual employee, or consider for employment within the school system, or hearing or investigate a complaint, charge, or grievance by or against any individual employee.
So moved.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye. All opposed? Let's be in there, ready to go at 10:00. Okay, that gives us a good 6 minutes.
Fabulous.
Oh, quick. open session. And we will carry on. I'll entertain a motion to approve the personnel.
So moved.
report.
Second.
First and second, any discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, like sign. That passes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5-0. All right, and next we have the DBA Liberty Waste Solutions. Dr. Morgan, would you like to fill us in on that one, please?
Yes.
talk trash.
I apologize. So this came before you at the last agenda review meeting, and the very next day, we found out there were fee increases at the county landfill, so we had to pull it so that we could update the contract. The reason that I brought it back to you and asked you to vote on it at today's meeting is because the reason we had it on the June calendar is because we need it in place by July 1.
Okay. And that's the trash will stay. All right.
That's right.
So I'll make a motion that we approve the DBA Liberty Waste Solutions for the 26-27 school year.
Second.
Okay, we have first and second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed, like sign. Passes again, 5-0.
Thank you.
Last thing on our agenda today is adjournment.
Adjourn.
We have a motion to adjourn, is there a second?
Second.
First and second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed, like sign, no. That passes 4-1, and we are adjourned.